Most companies who've implemented a GPS tracking system have always been able to track activity by vehicle. With a driver ID system, you're able to track activity by driver, by knowing when a particular driver logs into a vehicle, which A, gives you time clock, and then B, it also gives you, again, that activity by driver versus just, again, the industry standard's always been activity by vehicle. As a manager, why that's important is if you have multiple drivers that are sharing a particular vehicle, you can drill down with reporting by driver versus just all activity for that particular vehicle on a given day. Reporting not only for things such as idling and speeding and just general activity, but also driver behavior, what stops were conducted by that driver for a given time frame. And again, when you have a dynamic fleet with multiple drivers sharing multiple vehicles, it's important to account for all of that. The system and what's currently available with most providers today, you don't have that level of visibility. Well, as a fleet owner, you'll know in general if you've got a problem with whether it's speeding or aggressive driving on the road. The issue is if you don't know what driver's actually in that vehicle, you've got no way to address the issue, right? So with the driver ID system, you can accurately determine who's in the vehicle so that when you do get an exception, an alert on your phone, or something does pop up on a report that it shows, on the report shows to be an exception, you can look and see, okay, this is the driver in that vehicle, and you can address the issue. A lot of companies now build a safety policy, and again, without driver ID, if you only know that the vehicle was braking hard or accelerating hard, without driver ID, you have no way to address the issue. We have a customer, a large pest control company in the southeast corridor, who implemented this driver behavior system. Driver ID is tied into that as well, but more so the behavior monitoring was a huge issue for them. Aggressive driving, their claims experience was high. They had their insurance premiums were extremely high, and they were looking for technology to try to monitor driving behavior. They had no idea at the time what driver was aggressive versus not, who their best and worst drivers are. The only time where they had any indication was after the fact when there was an accident. And in general, in fact, their feedback in general was that it cost them on average $25,000 an accident. When they implemented our system, they saw an immediate improvement in driving behavior across the entire fleet. For the drivers who did not kind of follow suit and kind of ignored the system, ignored the technology, unfortunately, they were eliminated in a lot of cases because they could no longer stand the liability involved with that kind of behavior. So as a result, over the course of 6 months, they've actually reduced their driver's score and their insurance claims by 75%, which is a huge cost savings, not only from a fuel and maintenance perspective, but really from a liability insurance perspective. It was a huge cost savings.